founder and CEO of Yoobelong, a company which I founded end of last year. We offer community-based living for senior citizens, 60 plus, and are hence a new type of service provider in Germany focusing on this segment. We might expand to other European countries later on, but we'll be focusing on Germany for a start. And so, yes, let's say we're in the non-care senior living space with a service provider model, so differentiated from a leaseholder model. Yeah, I'd say we see a huge discrepancy between European markets. So there are obviously more mature markets which have followed the US role model, such as UK, but also less mature markets such as Germany. And especially in Germany, you can sense that it's very much, the whole senior living space was so far very much driven by the care industry. And now there are new players coming up, but mostly startups, trying to offer more service-oriented, community-oriented solutions. And so we also see that it's mostly international investors moving onto the German senior living markets. German investors are still, well, either anchored in the care sector or moving slowly from residential hospitality into senior living, but it's much slower and they have more limited experience with international markets. So that might explain why international investors are more active right now in Germany. I'd say there's a huge opportunity because of the undersupply in Germany of service living for senior citizens. So we think that especially in the non-care segments, there will be opportunity for growth. The difficulty is to find suitable operators or service providers and suitable development projects. But there are new players coming, there's more capital flowing into it. So we do believe that it's a great opportunity. And that it also suits ESG criteria because it's a huge segment within the social investment segment. So that also makes it attractive from an ESG perspective. Given that we talk mainly to institutional investors and international funds, we will be focusing on the largest cities. Or metropolitan areas around those cities, and then maybe later on move into B or C cities in Germany. Traditionally, the risk with operator-managed real estate was partially the operator itself, and the sustainability of the operator. In our case, we have a business model that's more that of a service provider and not a leaseholder. So I'd say from an investor perspective, the risk is lower because we do not have as many specific requirements. Our common areas are smaller, etc. So the operator-specific risk can be fairly low, as in our model. Nonetheless, investors have to make up their minds and ultimately move into this new segment, which is, brings about all kinds of challenges like lacking standard contract structures. As I said, suitable projects have to be found and formed. So I think all market participants really have to show some flexibility and to ultimately act on their wish to enter the segment. So that's what I would hope for the rest of 24 and 25. We obviously see a huge bottleneck of new developments, new builds projects in Germany. That's due to the difficulty with the building authorities and so on. And it's also maybe due to the fact that the German developer market is very much driven by SME developers who obviously had a hard time to get through the crisis and are still having a hard time. So new build projects will become very expensive in the next years for those who will make it until delivery. And so that's a question to what extent these new build apartments will still remain affordable. For example, for us, we really want to provide affordable housing. So we might also have to look at standing assets on top of dedicated new build apartment complexes. I think for me, it's been over 5 years that I was really surprised that there's not more offering in the senior living space, and it's moving relatively slow, both in terms of capital and in terms of projects and operators. So that's still surprising to me because there's no doubt about the demographic developments and the need also to promote aging at home versus care-based facilities. So I mean, the need is clear, but there are too few market participants actually acting on it. And it's especially surprising since the senior target group is a very attractive one with high purchase power, a lot of time to spend on leisure activities and so on. So I would say it's just not been promoted sufficiently. And in Germany, senior living always had a bit of a negative connotation because it's so heavily anchored in the care segment. And so the new market participants need to change that and to really promote the fresh, more modern version of service living and community-based living for seniors. That's what we're trying to do with our peers.